When I was reborn, Xiao Yu had just brought back that little chef from Jiangnan. He said he had lost his memory, and had already pledged his life to the little chef. Some sighed, some mocked, and some pitied me. In my past life, I couldn't bear to give up the one I had loved since childhood. Believing he would eventually regain his memories, I plunged headfirst into it and still honored the marriage agreement, until I hit the wall, battered and bruised. Xiao Yu and the little cook were deeply in love, had children, and walked hand in hand, and I, born as the legitimate wife, died of depression without any children. Only at the end did I learn that Xiao Yu was feigning amnesia. Given a second chance at life, I only want to let myself go and live differently. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now, the story begins. Xiao Yu brought back a young cook from Jiangnan. When he mentioned the little cook in front of me, his eyes were filled with stars. Yu Yaro cured my eating disorder. I have already pledged my life to her, and I cannot be irresponsible. I have lost my memory and temporarily do not remember what happened between us. But rest assured, the position of the principal wife is still yours. In order to stay by my side, Yu Yaro is willing to be a concubine. You won't tear us apart, will you? Xiao Yu spoke with sincere words. In my past life, hearing these words from him felt like a knife twisting in my heart. The one I love has forgotten me. He also fell in love with someone else. I was raised from childhood to be the bride of the Xiao family. I thought I would definitely marry Xiao Yu. That's why, in my past life, I couldn't accept it and kept hoping he would regain his memory. As long as he remembers, my beloved will return. But only on the verge of death did I realize that Xiao Yu, to protect his dignity, deliberately claimed to have lost his memory. He didn't forget me. He fell in love with someone else but didn't dare to admit it. In my previous life, the cook successfully entered the household as a concubine. Xiao Yu and she were a harmonious couple, blessed with 2 sons and 2 daughters. As for me, I was consumed by sorrow and melancholy, which took a toll on my health, and by the time I died, my body was covered in sores. On the day of my death, their eldest son was getting married in the front courtyard. I overheard their conversation. Xiao Yu seemed displeased, his spirits low. Give her a proper burial. After all, I have failed her. The cook, and Yu Yao, was somewhat indignant. Husband, you have already been more than fair to her. She occupied the position of the main wife for so many years, causing all 4 of my children to be born as concubines' offspring. Our eldest son could only marry the daughter of a minor 5th-rank official. Why did she have to die today, of all days? If we had known it would come to this. You should never have pretended to lose your memory back then. You should have just told her outright that you had fallen for me. Perhaps then she wouldn't have clung to you so stubbornly. I was so enraged that my blood rushed to my heart. The world says, one won't give up until they hit the south wall. And I've hit it until my head is bleeding. What is pestering endlessly? I brought 160 dowry loads. And my wife and concubine entered the household on the same day. That was my greatest concession. As memories rushed back, I looked at Xiao Yu before me and suddenly laughed. Laughing and laughing, I gradually leaned back and forth, my eyes moist with mirth, not from sorrow, but from self-mockery. Xiao Yusheng possessed a handsomeness beyond compare, a countenance like snow-capped mountains, yet now in my eyes, it had become no different from the most ordinary of colors. Under Xiao Yu's bewildered gaze, I felt a wave of nausea rising in my stomach, followed by a dry heave. He reached out to touch me, but I forcefully pushed his hand away. Don't touch me, it's disgusting. Xiao Yu was taken aback. I continued, since young Master Xiao has already set his heart on someone else, let's call off the engagement. All these years, I've been forcing myself to live up to the standards of the Xiao family's young mistress. I'm truly exhausted. Xiao Yu was incredulous. What do you mean? I stared at his face. I mean, I don't want to marry you anymore. Go marry your cook. I wish you 2 a happy union and many children. I want to see how, in this lifetime, without the Song family's marital connection and without my generous dowry, Xiao Yu will still manage to rise rapidly in his career. As soon as the news of the broken engagement came out, my brother-in-law hurried over to see me, after my father and elder brother died in battle. My uncle single-handedly raised my elder sister and me. The Song family was once illustrious and prosperous, but now its descendants are dwindling. My uncle is already in his late 20s, having missed the prime age for marriage. Have you been wronged? I've already heard about the Xiao family's matter. It's simply outrageous. They don't take our Song family seriously at all. How dare a mere cook's daughter be compared to a young lady of the Song family? Uncle was seething with anger. Looking at my uncle, who still carried an air of elegance and handsomeness, tears streamed down my face. In my past life, To secure the family's glory, my uncle, who had suffered from asthma since birth, still went off to the battlefield. Before he left, he came to the Xiao family to see me. Seeing how emaciated I had become, this tough man turned into a weeping mess. Nanji, my dear child, wait for your uncle to return with military honors. I will stand up for you. Uncle never returned. I hugged uncle tightly. Uncle, from now on, the Song family cannot rely on you alone to support it. I will stay in the Song family and not marry. Uncle thought I had suffered a heartbreak and comforted me. If you don't want to marry, then don't. I will take care of you for the rest of your life. Upon hearing the news, my elder sister also returned home with her husband. My brother-in-law now holds a position in the censorate, and his words are so sharp they could bring the dead back to life. The Xiao family is truly ridiculous. How dare they think of having the wife and concubine enter the household on the same day? What does that say about the rules of propriety? I must submit a memorial to impeach them. My elder sister knew how deeply I loved Xiao Yu and looked at me with concern. Little sister. Yet I smiled with joy. Being able to see my dearest loved ones is already a great blessing. In her previous life, my elder sister died at the hands of bandits. My brother-in-law was so grief-stricken that the sharpest tongue in the censorate became a mute and passed away from illness within a few years. In this lifetime, no matter what, I must protect the two of them. I took out the pear blossom spear that my mother had once used and performed a set of spear techniques in the courtyard. Uncle, my elder sister, and brother-in-law were all dumbfounded. I had no idea I was this impressive. I wiped my sweat and said with a laugh, "This is the real me. I don't want to learn the etiquette of a matriarch, nor do I want to be the young mistress of the Xiao family. Life in the inner chambers is truly suffocating." Even the Empress Dowager praised me, saying I have my mother's grace. Marrying into the Xiao residence is nowhere near as good as staying with the Song family. Seeing that I was not disheartened, the three of them felt relieved. Before my brother-in-law left, he specifically told me, "Nanji, you are my sister-in-law. If anyone bullies you, I will definitely avenge you." I couldn't help but laugh. "Brother-in-law, you must live a long and healthy life." My brother-in-law laughed heartily. "Truly my sister-in-law, your words are always so pleasing to hear." The next day, the entire censorate jointly impeached the Xiao family. At the same time, my uncle spread the news of the broken engagement between the Song and Xiao families throughout the entire capital. At the morning court session, Duke Xiao was severely reprimanded by the emperor. The emperor's exact words were, "The Song family has been loyal and heroic for generations, and now only this young lady remains in the main branch. How dare the duke's mansion treat her with such disrespect?" The Duke of Xiaogua knelt down to plead guilty, firmly insisting that the marriage would not be cancelled and that the young lady of the Song family would not suffer the slightest grievance. In my previous life, the matter did not escalate, so the emperor naturally did not interfere in the family affairs of his subjects. Because I married into the duke's household in my past life, the Xiao family did not make things difficult for Xiao Yu and An Yuemiao. It was merely a matter of taking on an additional concubine. By this time, An Yuemiao was already pregnant, and if she did not enter the household soon, her condition would become impossible to conceal. As soon as the court session ended, Duke Xiao led Xiao Yu to pay a visit. Xiao Yu came bearing a rod on his back to apologize. Duke Xiao wore a face full of smiles. Second Master Song, "It's all a misunderstanding. We mustn't let this harm the harmony between our two families." My uncle had already consulted me and, learning that I was determined to break off the engagement, he firmly stated, "There's no need for apologies. Let's return all the betrothal gifts exchanged between our two families. The daughters of the Song family will not be marrying out." "Duke, what do you mean by this, uncle? The general's manor is seeking a son-in-law. What, is your only son planning to marry into their family?" The duke would naturally never allow Xiao Yu to marry into another family. Xiao Yu had 4 older sisters. The duke had him late in life. The duke and his younger brother had a falling out. Xiao Yu came to see me in person. Seeing my indifference, he grew anxious and let slip, "Nanji, you say you want to break off the engagement just like that. Can you really cast aside all the moments we've shared over the years?" I was practicing swordplay and laughed upon hearing this. "The moments we shared before, what? You haven't lost your memory." Xiao Yu's face instantly turned ashen. At this moment, I despise him, but I also hate myself for my poor judgment. "Xiao Yu, you are truly a coward. If you had openly admitted that your feelings have changed, I would never have clung to you. But you want to have your cake and eat it too. You want the marriage alliance, and you also want your beloved to enter the household. Then what am I? Xiao Yu, you should leave. Don't force me to take action against you. I truly look down on you." Xiao Yu's expression froze. his body staggered slightly, and his face turned deathly pale. His filthy intentions had been exposed. He craved the glory I could bring him, yet he also coveted the gentle affection of the cook. Xiao Yu was left speechless and could only leave in embarrassment. I called out to him, "Stop!" Xiao Yu turned around abruptly, a glimmer of light in his eyes. "Nanji," I said, "take all your things with you." I signaled the maid to bring out a wooden box, which contained all the birthday gifts Xiao Yu had given me over the years. From the engagement at age 5 to my 16th birthday last year, there were 11 gifts in total. Xiao Yu looked at the opened wooden box, panic rising in his eyes. I said, "Mr. Xiao, you can check them one by one to see if anything is missing." Xiao Yu's lips pressed into a thin line. He said he forgot everything between him and me. Then, these things before me should be enough to evoke all his memories. Xiao Yu's voice was hoarse. "Nanji, I never thought of breaking off the engagement. No matter what, you are my rightful wife. Your position in my heart cannot be shaken by anyone. I can't be bothered to listen to nonsense. In my previous life, I wasted away in the inner chambers, and now that I've been reborn, I feel that time is incredibly precious." I smiled indifferently. "But I don't want to marry you anymore. In my heart, you are nothing." With that, I called out sharply, "Attendants, see the guest out." Xiao Yu had no choice but to leave, and he refused to take the wooden box with him. I then ordered someone to deliver the wooden box to the Duke's residence. The Xiao family unilaterally refused to call off the engagement. That night, Xiao Yu had a dream. In the dream, he successfully married Song Nanji, and his beloved cook also entered his household. He thought he was the luckiest man in the world, but soon, the scene changed. Song Nanji, once a delicate and vibrant flower, gradually withered and faded. Meanwhile, Xiao Yu spent his days hovering around the kitchen maid, watching helplessly as the smile vanished from Song Nanji's face. Startled awake from the dream, Xiao Yu slapped himself hard across the face. He couldn't believe how he had treated Song Nanji. The cook was just a refreshing side dish, while Song Nanji was the one destined for him. The Xiao family spread rumors everywhere, declaring that the wedding would proceed as planned. His brother-in-law persistently submitted memorials to impeach him. Uncle always cursed and grumbled whenever the Xiao family was mentioned. Only I was single-mindedly practicing my spear techniques. Mother had personally taught me how to draw a bow and shoot arrows. She once said, "Gigi is most like her mother, and will surely soar beyond the confines of this household one day." But in my past life, I failed to live up to Mother's expectations. I have always wanted to see the lone smoke rising straight from the vast desert and the snow in the harsh winter of Fancheng. In this lifetime, the one who goes to battle for the Song family must be me. My uncle was born with a chronic illness. He cannot go to his death again. My uncle came to see me. "Nanji, how can you still have the heart to practice with your spear? The Xiao family is determined to marry you into their household, but I've heard that the cook Xiao you brought back has already moved into the Duke's residence. The Xiao family is simply going too far." I wiped the sweat off and smiled gently. "Uncle, don't worry, I'll be able to successfully call off the engagement soon. You should focus on finding yourself a wife and having a few children. That's what really matters." My uncle's handsome face flushed red. You mischievous child." He then asked, "Nanji, do you already have a plan in mind?" I nodded. "Yes, as long as everything goes according to plan, I will definitely be able to call off the engagement." The young uncle grinned, a man in his late 20s who still retained a hint of boyish charm. "All right, I trust Nanji the most. In his previous life, he died pierced by countless arrows, trampled into mud by the barbarian cavalry, reduced to a handful of yellow earth with no one to collect his body. Since his teens, the young uncle had played both father and mother. The youngest young master of the Song family, he had been a dissolute and spoiled playboy since childhood. After his elder brother and sister-in-law died in battle, he became a completely different person overnight. The uncle who once made countless women's hearts flutter remains a solitary man to this day. This time, I will protect him." 1 month later, the secret guard I had sent out came to report, "Young master, as you predicted, the son of the Prince of the Southwest has indeed been captured by the Black Wind stronghold. Chu Xiao, the son of the Prince of the Southwest, is the biological grandson of the Empress Dowager. In his previous life, he was also captured but was not rescued until 2 months later. By then, his foundation had been damaged, leaving him impotent for life and making him the laughingstock of the capital. Yet this man disregarded the judgment of the world when the nation fell. He stood alone against the tide and even brought back the remains of his parents from the border. He once came to see me at the Duke's residence. Without saying much, he simply told me, the second lady of the Song family should not have ended up like this. But since things have come to this, I hope you take care of yourself in every way. My own fate is uncertain, and I cannot take you away." Before he left, he punched Xiao Yu several times. In my previous life, my elder sister died at the hands of bandits, so I simply raided the bandits' den ahead of time and, in the process, rescued Chu Xiao. The general's estate had a total of 1,000 garrison soldiers, plus the guards and shadow guards, over 1,000 men in all, which was more than enough. At nightfall, I quietly set out with my men. The matter was so urgent that I had to act first and report later. The terrain of Blackwind Stronghold had already been mapped out in advance by the hidden guards. Therefore, when I led the men to attack Blackwind Stronghold, the bandits were completely unprepared. When we found Chu Xiao, his collarbones had been pierced, and he was hanging on the wall of the dungeon, with only a loincloth to cover himself. I deliberately took a few more glances. There was no bloodstain on that loincloth. The man's shoulder blade area had lost a lot of blood, yet it still couldn't hide his strikingly handsome and extraordinary appearance. Chu Er, wake up." The man slowly opened his eyes. This is a pair of deep, passionate peach blossom eyes. They are quite captivating. I cut the chains off him, and in my panic and concern, I blurted out, "Chu Shizi, have the mountain bandits harmed your?" I casually reached out and gave it a feel. Heaven and earth bear witness. I have no ulterior motives. I only wish to protect him, purely and simply. By the end, the Chu imperial family had almost no bloodline left. Chu Xiao's pupils gradually dilated. He took a deep breath, his chest rising and falling slightly, and a flush of red spread across his deathly pale face. What do you want to do?" The man gnashed his teeth. Chu Xiao had lost too much blood. Iron hooks were still piercing through his shoulder blades. I could only scoop him up in my arms. He was a bit heavy, but not too much to carry. The man tried to struggle, but it only brought him intense pain. He gasped sharply. I hurriedly walked out, reassuring him, "Chu Shizi, there's no need to panic. I am the second daughter of the Song family, and I've come specifically to rescue you today." Chu Xiao glanced at my profile a few times. To avoid falling, he slowly wrapped his arms around my neck, his expression rather peculiar. It felt quite awkward. The man's fair body was stained with quite a bit of blood. However, his figure was pleasing to the eye, with clearly defined and firm abdominal muscles. Chu Xiao remained silent the entire way. The sounds of fighting were incessant. My people moved swiftly, killing those who needed to be killed, burning what needed to be burned. I carried Chu Xiao into the carriage and noticed his expression was extremely off. Thinking he had been humiliated this time, I comforted him once again. "Young Master Chu, I will make sure those who insulted you pay the price. I'll take care of the bandits while I'm at it. You rest here. I'll be back soon. There are guards outside the carriage to protect you." Chu Xiao opened his mouth as if indignant. "Who insulted me? Don't you have any idea?" I responded. While I was still puzzled, my trusted subordinate came to report, "Young master, the bandit leader has been captured." I nodded. "I'll go take care of it right away." Before leaving, I instructed Chu Xiao, "There's a medicine chest in the carriage. You can tend to your wounds yourself." Chu Xiao turned his face away. Perhaps I was mistaken, but I saw him lightly bite his lip. Appearing quite bashful, "Is this really Chu Xiao, who swore to die for the fallen state of Great Chu before its demise? Take the surrendering ones into custody, kill all who refuse to surrender." I ordered the house guards. In this life, the Blackwind Stronghold has been eradicated, so my elder sister will naturally not suffer from the harm of bandits. I gaze at the starry sky. My heart is unprecedentedly calm. The path ahead, I am unwavering in my resolve. More than 2 hours later, as dawn began to break, I boarded the carriage for the return journey. This carriage was specially prepared for Chu Xiao. I was worried about his injury, that's why I rode with him. The moment the man saw me, he immediately became alert, hunching his body and pressing his legs together. The morning light fell on his face, making his features appear even more refined. "Chu Er, I understand," I said, having the shadow guard take off his outer robe and then handing it to Chu Xiao. "Young Master Chu, please make do with this for now." Chu Xiao immediately put on the clothes. The size wasn't quite right. His wrists were exposed by a large margin, as he was considerably taller than the shadow guard. Only after covering himself properly did Chu Xiao meet my gaze. I came to the capital this time to attend the Empress Dowager's birthday celebration. I arrived a month early, and no one knew of my whereabouts. But the bandits let it slip. Someone leaked the information in advance and even bribed the bandits. I frowned, realizing the seriousness of the situation. "There's a spy in the palace. The Empress Dowager would never betray her own grandson. Chu Xiao nodded. I will not reveal myself for now, let's investigate this thoroughly first, I suggested. Then let's stay at the Song residence for the time being. Chu Xiao's gaze began to evade again. Alright, his earlobes flushed red, and I, belatedly realizing, recalled some details from last night. Instantly, my face reddened as well. Soon, we entered the city. I ordered someone to take Chu Xiao to the Song residence, while I myself went to the palace to see the emperor. The emperor is a wise ruler. I acted first and reported later, yet he did not punish me. Song Nanji, you have rendered great service. What reward do you desire? The emperor winked at me. During the court discussion, with Duke Xiao and Xiao Yu present, understanding the emperor's implication, I said, Your Majesty, I wish to request the annulment of my engagement. Moreover, in the future, I will not marry out but only take a husband into my family. The emperor's expression remained unchanged, but he agreed swiftly. Very well, I grant it. The banditry at Blackwind Fortress has been a long-standing issue. The court has repeatedly failed to capture the stronghold, yet you, a mere woman, were the first to breach it. Truly worthy of being a daughter of the Song family, I accepted the reward and took my leave for the time being. As I passed by Xiao Yu, his eyes were filled with resentment. Nanji, how could you? I whispered back. Why couldn't I? The Duke of Xia glared fiercely at his own son. After leaving the council hall, I went to see the Empress Dowager. I informed her one by one about Chu Xiao being captured and the fact that someone in the palace had leaked the information. The Empress Dowager was greatly shocked. How could such a thing happen? Who on earth wants to harm my grandson? The current emperor has only 3 sons. One is frail, another is a fool, and the third died young. Chu Xiao is the emperor's own nephew and the only healthy male descendant of the Chu imperial bloodline. If Chu Xiao dies, the imperial lineage will have no successor. I voiced my suspicion directly. Your Majesty, there may be enemy spies in the imperial harem. The Empress Dowager's face turned deathly pale. If spies had infiltrated the palace, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Empress Dowager stared intently at my features. Song Nanji. This matter is of utmost importance and must not be revealed to others, lest word gets out. Do you have the confidence to conduct a thorough investigation on my behalf? I nodded. The Empress Dowager handed me her token. Whatever you need, inform me, and I will provide my full support. The Empress Dowager repeatedly instructed me to take good care of Chu Xiao, so, as soon as I returned to the residence, I went to see him. He was bare-chested, the iron hook had already been pulled out, and blood was still seeping from the wound. Following the Empress Dowager's instructions, I asked, Are you sure nothing was injured down there? The man's face stiffened, and he pulled the quilt to cover his lower body. Looking at me warily, he pursed his lips and remained silent. I grew anxious. The imperial harem hadn't seen a royal consort conceive for several years, and the Prince of the Southwest had only this one son. Chu Xiao is the last healthy descendant of the family line. I stepped forward and lifted the quilt. He had already changed into his undergarments, and I clearly saw the erect part. It should be fine, right? I asked. Chu why aren't you answering? Chu Xiao bristled, again and again. You insist on taking every advantage of me. Go on, what else do you want to do? I froze. He misunderstood. I was just concerned about the foundation of the nation. I tried to explain. The bandit leader has a preference for men. I was just worried about you. That's all. Chu Xiao bristled even more. I did not lose my virtue. I smiled. Then I am relieved. Chu Xiao looked at me with a complicated expression. I naturally had no time for idle talk with him, so I told him about my suspicions. Chu Xiao frowned deeply and said, My mother passed away from illness. And it was only later that we discovered she had been poisoned. There was a woman who had contact with my father, but he noticed something amiss and has remained alone ever since. According to what you said, there are spies in both the imperial palace and the southwestern prince's residence, I replied, among the 17 consorts in the rear palace. Aside from the true daughter of the prime minister's household who was once lost outside, the other ladies grew up in the capital, rarely leaving their inner chambers. It's unlikely that they are spies. Chu Xiao asked, Are you suggesting we start investigating from that true daughter of the Prime Minister's household? I nodded. Chu Shizi, you are very clever. Chu Xiao was taken aback, his face flushing red again. His somewhat innocent. In the following days, while Chu Xiao was recovering from his injuries, I dispatched my covert guards to thoroughly investigate all the powerful and influential figures in the capital. That day, I brought Chu Xiao a silver mask. Young Master Chu, since it's inconvenient for you to show your face, wear this so we can work together. Chu Xiao obediently put it on and asked, "Does it look good?" I looked at him suspiciously. "This mask is to prevent people from recognizing you, not for decoration." Chu Xiao opened his mouth and asked again, "I heard about what happened between you and Xiao Yu. Have you truly let it go?" The next moment, Chu Xiao immediately explained nervously, "I didn't mean anything else. Second Lady Song is both beautiful and intelligent. I just feel that no man in this world is worthy of you." I was amused by his words, since he praised me. It was only natural for me to return the compliment. Courtesy demands reciprocity. After all, young Master Chu, not only are you handsome, but you also have a sweet tongue. Chu Xiao was taken aback, his amorous eyes darting around restlessly. 3 days later, a piece of news spread like wildfire throughout the imperial harem. A barbarian spy had been captured and had revealed the identities of other spies. I disguised myself as that spy and was imprisoned in the water dungeon, as expected. No one would willingly approach me unless they intended to silence me for good. At midnight, as expected, someone spent a great deal of silver to bribe the jailer and sneak into the water dungeon. The jailer was one of my men, and he deliberately turned a blind eye, letting the person in. When that person lunged at me with a dagger, I knew the fish had taken the bait. Chu Xiao emerged from the shadows and captured the assassin alive. It turned out to be a palace made from Baohua Palace. Dislocate her jaw to prevent her from committing suicide. At my command, Chu Xiao immediately complied. The two of us were in perfect sync. Baohua Palace was the residence of the imperial consort. The palace maid initially denied being one of the consort's people. But after a round of severe interrogation, she confessed, and the imperial consort happens to be the long-lost true daughter of the prime minister's household. Upon hearing this, the Empress Dowager said, "The imperial consort neither resembles the prime minister nor the late prime minister's wife. What evidence is there to prove that she is the true daughter? Or could it be that she is simply a spy planted by an enemy state?" The Empress Dowager closed her eyes, her expression unprecedentedly grave. "The imperial consort has been in the palace for over a decade. It seems our great Chu has long been infiltrated. This explains why it has been so difficult for the imperial consorts and concubines to conceive, and what's even more shocking is what my uncle found out. Back then, it was the Prime Minister's second wife who brought back the real daughter. The Prime Minister's first wife was said to have died of illness, but in reality, her remains were blackened, clearly indicating she was poisoned. Moreover, among the high-ranking officials in the court, whenever a first wife died, the official would quickly remarry, and every second wife was skilled in cooking. The remains of all these first wives were also blackened. Before these first wives died, their symptoms were all quite similar. Their bodies were covered in festering sores. I staggered, thinking of myself, and Yu Yarrow was skilled in the kitchen. And before my death in my previous life, my body had also festered. The thought that more spies had already infiltrated the homes of powerful officials sent chills down the spines of me, the Empress Dowager, my brother-in-law, and Chu Xiao. The enemy nation's decade-long infiltration plan was enough to destroy the very foundation of the Great Chu. My mind buzzed with a sudden ringing. I recalled again how Xiao Yu had mentioned meeting in Yuemiao. Everything seemed so coincidental. Xiao Yu had gone to Jiangnan to deal with a flood disaster. With his weak spleen and stomach, he had no appetite in the summer heat. Coincidentally, and Yuemiao was bringing food to her brother, and Xiao Yu happened to taste her cooking. After that, the two of them met and fell in love, in their previous life. After a Yu Yarrow entered the Duke of Xiao's residence, the enemy state's water conservancy and crossbow manufacturing gradually surpassed that of Great Chu. Both the father and son of the Xiao family served in the Ministry of Works. Did an Yu Yarrow steal the blueprints? My guess seems about to be confirmed. Feeling dizzy and light-headed, I was steadied by Chu Xiao. "Lady Song, are you all right?" I shook my head. "Continue investigating. Wait until the time is right. Then capture them all in one sweep." After speaking, I turned to the Empress Dowager. "I wonder if guarding against the imperial consort now can still allow the emperor to produce heirs. The imperial consort excels at culinary arts, and over the years the emperor has developed a particular fondness for her cooking. I'm afraid the dragon's body may no longer be capable of impregnating the concubines." I then turned to Chu Xiao. "Your Highness, you must have a son soon, or else the great Chu Empire will have no one to inherit it." Chu Xiao's expression was complicated. He had arrived in the capital a month earlier than planned because the emperor had summoned him to discuss the matter of the imperial will. I suggested, "Prince Chu, you'd better start looking for a few beauties as soon as possible and produce more offspring, just in case something unexpected happens to you too. This is sincere advice." Chu Xiao suddenly jumped back, no longer supporting me, and stood 3 steps away, glaring at me angrily. Song Nanji, listen to what you just said. What do you take me for? I'm not a stud horse, uncle coughed lightly. The Empress Dowager hesitated to speak, but I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. Next, the secret guards closely monitored the female relatives of the suspected powerful officials. The imperial consort was also under surveillance. Soon, news came from the Duke of Xiao's residence. Young Master Xiao had a dispute with the cook, and the cook, being pregnant, was so agitated that she started bleeding. The reason was that the cook was pregnant, but the Xiao family had been delaying giving her a proper status, which led to the conflict. In my previous life, because I was willing to marry into the family, and Yu Yao was able to become a concubine without any issues. But now, I refused to marry. How could a noble family allow a concubine to enter the household first? She naturally had no official status. In my previous life, I had also become pregnant. But Xiao Yu and Yu Yao's eldest son bumped into my lower abdomen, causing me to miscarry. Now, it would be better if that child were not kept. It could be considered karma. The hidden guard added, young Master Xiao and the cook are having quite the disagreement. I've heard that young Master Xiao no longer eats the meals she prepares. They've been giving each other the cold shoulder for several days now. In his previous life, Xiao Yu had half his hair turned white before he even reached 30. And he was unable to perform in the bedroom. I suspect the cook has been tampering with the food. Since Xiao Yu stopped eating her meals, he has lost interest in her as well. Chu Xiao suddenly widened his eyes in realization and said, I remember now. One day, the palace cook brought my father a medicinal tonic. Because my father has practiced martial arts for years and has sharp senses, he detected that the tonic had been laced with an aphrodisiac. After that, my father became extremely cautious about his food. That's why their plan failed. I see. Xiao Yu had been drinking and was likely in a heated argument with the cook. He came to the Song residence, insisting on seeing me. Even now, he still refuses to reflect on his actions. Nanji, the position of my lawful wife is meant only for you. Why are you so determined to break off the engagement? At most, Yu Yao can only be a concubine. She won't affect the feelings between you and me. Yet you insist on giving me up. Nanji, I'm truly lost now. I don't know what to do. If you refuse to marry me, then I don't want Yu Yao to enter my household either. Nanji, even if I was wrong, I shouldn't have deceived you, nor should I have pretended to have amnesia. Just look at me, will you? I don't believe you could really bring yourself to give up on me. My uncle had already grabbed something to hit him with. Xiao Yu lunged at me and immediately knelt down. I felt a bit disgusted. In my past life, they said I was clingy, but what is Xiao Yu doing now? Please leave, I already have someone in my heart. Chu Xiao was standing right beside us. I pulled him over directly, hooked my arm around his neck, made him bend down close to me, and then, I kissed his lips. My action could be considered bold. Uncle chuckled. Chu Xiao's face was half flushed. He wore a mask, and though his full face couldn't be seen, just half of it, combined with his tall and slender figure, was enough to tell that he was a handsome man. Xiao Yu knelt on the ground, heavily intoxicated, his hands clutching his head. It shouldn't be like this. Nanji, you were supposed to marry me. How could you fall for someone else? I feel so terrible here. He pointed to his chest. Yes, the human heart can ache. Does it hurt? When you claim to have fallen for someone else, my heart ached too. But now, I feel nothing at all. I truly have no mind to deal with these trivial matters of romance. If I were to live another life and still be entangled in matters of love between men and women, it would truly be a wasted existence. I commanded, guards, drag young Master Xiao out. From now on, without my permission, he is not allowed to set foot in the Song residence for even half a step. Xiao Yu was dragged away. All the way, he kept shouting, it shouldn't be like this. Chu Xiao's expression became very strange. The flush on his face never faded. He glanced at me from time to time, his eyes seeming to have something to say. I'm busy catching spies. I have no time to bother with him. A few days later, Chu Xiao finally couldn't hold back and cornered me under a magnolia tree in the backyard. Song Nanji, I responded, The man's Adam's apple bobbed, his amorous eyes appearing dazed and unfocused under the moonlight. Chu Xiao, don't you have anything to explain? Chu Shizi. If you have something to say, just say it directly. Chu Xiao bit his lip. You've touched me, and you've kissed me. Shouldn't you give me an explanation? I was astonished. He understands the complexity of the current situation better than I do. How can he still have the mind to talk about these things? I explained seriously. Last time at Blackwind Stronghold, it was to ensure you remained unharmed. That day when I kissed you, It was to use you to get rid of Xiao Yu. If you misunderstood anything, I deeply apologize. Chu Xiao opened his mouth slightly, his chest rising and falling gently. Song Nanji, do you only have the nation and the world in your heart? Once again, fragments of my past life flashed through my mind. I too had once been full of anticipation for love between a man and a woman. So, it has been proven that women should not be confined to the inner chambers, nor should they regard men as their heaven. I have come to deeply understand that for a woman to live a free and unrestrained life, she must also realize her own value. And I, as a daughter of the Song family, have the responsibility to protect my home and defend my country. The constant tug-of-war and entanglements between men and women truly drain one's energy. I stood on tiptoe, pecked the man's lips, and pulled away immediately. I kissed you once, now I'm returning it. Where do you want to touch? Hurry up. Chu Xiao stood frozen like a stone statue. The next moment, he turned and ran. He ran off in a flurry. He ran so fast he left a blur. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. So easily teased. The cook, and Yu Yao, had a miscarriage. Xiao Yu was extremely cold to her in this life. And Yu Yao probably realized that she might not be able to stay in the Duke's mansion for long, so she took action ahead of time. The secret guards had been watching her all along. So they naturally knew that she had stolen the blueprint from the study. However, before the blueprint could be delivered to the enemy country, she was already captured. When I arrived with the Empress Dowager's token to arrest her, Xiao Yu mistakenly thought I was acting out of jealousy. He was in a daze, somewhat mentally exhausted. Nanji, are you jealous? You came to arrest Yu Yao just to provoke me, right? I had solid evidence in hand and had even captured Yu Yao's contact. Completely dismantling the enemy country's grain and oil shop operating in the capital. Ignoring Xiao Yu, I turned to Duke Xiao and said, Your Grace, the prospective concubine residing in your mansion is a spy from an enemy country. She has stolen blueprints from the Ministry of Works. With both witnesses and material evidence present, I intend to carry out my duties impartially. I trust your grace will not stand in my way. Duke Xiao's expression changed drastically. After clearly seeing the evidence, he slapped Xiao Yu across the face. You fool, you've let a wolf in through the door. Xiao Yu was stunned by the slap, and Yu Yao had already been captured. She had a delicate and pretty appearance, but could not be considered strikingly beautiful. In my past life, I always believed that Xiao Yu and she were truly devoted to each other, which was why they disregarded social status and appearance. Now it seems she was exceptionally cunning, a carefully trained spy. If even Xiao Yu and I could be driven apart, what about other powerful officials and their original wives? Xiao Yu grabbed Yu Yao by the hair. You've been deceiving me all along. I've treated you well, and I even hurt my childhood sweetheart for you. And Yu Yao saw that the situation was beyond redemption. She laughed heartily. Ha ha ha, for the sake of my country, there is nothing I wouldn't do. Your great Chu is about to fall. She made a move to take her own life, in a flash. I stepped forward and dislocated her jaw. My eyes turned cold as I said, thinking of death, I'm afraid dying is not an option. You would do anything for your country, coincidentally, so would I. I have plenty of ways to make you spill more secrets. I waved my hand and commanded, guards, take her away. Search the Duke's residence, arrest anyone and anything suspicious. Duke Xiao looked deeply worried, following behind me with utmost humility. Lady Song, this matter concerns the fate of our nation. I, Xiao, will spare no effort to cooperate. Before long, a chef from the kitchen was apprehended. His accomplice had been captured, and he had no intention of surviving either. He laughed maniacally. The eldest son of the Xiao family has been poisoned. He will rot to death. Your great Chu has already lost many of its talented young men. Ha ha ha, a chill ran through my entire body, and with one swift stroke of my sword, I silenced him forever. The enemy country had been laying the groundwork for over a decade, infiltrating major noble families. They could indeed destroy this generation of promising young talents. Upon closer reflection, there truly were few outstanding heirs among the legitimate descendants of noble houses. Duke Xiao turned to his son. Trembling with anger and disappointment, you rebellious son, you brought this upon yourself. Had the spies succeeded, I could die 100 deaths and still be too ashamed to face our ancestors. Duke Xiao paid no heed to his son's fate and entered the palace with me to see the emperor. Upon learning the general situation, the emperor's face showed a storm of shock. He already knew that the imperial consort was also a spy from the enemy state. The emperor closed his eyes for a moment before opening them to look at me, his eyes bloodshot. Song Nanji, is it time to close the net now? I nodded. The clues have been mostly investigated, and we can catch them all in one sweep. However, there might still be some who slip through the net. Who knows how many spies the enemy country has planted? This large-scale infiltration has been planned by them for a long time, making it impossible to guard against. Duke Xiao knelt down to plead guilty, voluntarily forfeited his salary, and additionally proposed that Xiao Yu never be allowed to enter government service. This foolish and rebellious son has let the wolf in through the back door and is unworthy to be a subject of Great Chu. Your Majesty, it is my failure in teaching my son. I deserve to die 10,000 deaths. The emperor granted his permission and, upon hearing that Xiao Yu was poisoned and not long for this world, decided not to pursue the matter further. The operation to capture the spies lasted for a full month. The entire city was placed under high alert. Upon hearing the news, the enemy state sent an envoy. He actually had the audacity to propose taking the spies back with him. These spies, to varying degrees, held secrets of Great Chu and thus could not be allowed to leave alive. Chu Xiao no longer needed to hide his identity. He removed his mask and revealed his true face. When the emperor summoned the two of us, he looked as if he had aged 10 years overnight. After a long silence, the emperor finally spoke. Have I been too incompetent? After saying this, he smiled bitterly again. Since I ascended the throne, I have been diligent and hardworking, buried in official documents, only hoping to live up to my ancestors. Who would have thought that Great Chu has already been riddled with holes by enemy countries? This time, if not for the two of you turning the tide at the critical moment, the consequences would have been unimaginable. I am ashamed. The emperor sighed for a while, then suddenly his gaze turned sharp. Song Nani, you truly resemble your mother. Let me ask you one thing, do you have the confidence to turn the tables? Chu Xiao and I exchanged a glance. His gaze was filled with affirmation and trust. I often wonder, what is the true meaning of my rebirth in this life? Perhaps, the answer has already been written in the stars. I should not confine myself to the identity of a woman. I am a woman, but I am also a daughter of the Song family, a child of my parents, a noble woman raised under the protection of the Great Chu. A powerful conviction welled up within me. In my past life, the Great Chu fell, and I met a tragic end. What could be more sorrowful and wretched than such an ending? Why not take a chance and go all out? I nodded solemnly. Yes, the emperor said. Good, today, I shall bestow Chu Xiao to you in marriage. He will marry into the Song family. I have no capable sons of my own. After all, Chu Xiao is a member of the Chu imperial clan. In the future, his ascension to the throne will be legitimate, and as his wife, you will always hold a position above him. I entrust my nephew and the Great Chu to you. The 300,000 strong Song family army at the border will rely on your leadership. My elder sister is already with child, and my younger uncle was born with an ailment. I am the best candidate to support the Song family. After speaking, the emperor coughed a few times, quickly covering his mouth with a handkerchief. Still, I caught a glimpse of the bloodstain on it. Chu Xiao remained silent, tacitly agreeing to this marriage. I understood the emperor's concern. He feared that Chu Xiao might struggle to bear the heavy responsibility, and having the full support of the Song family was the safest option. The emperor appeared magnanimous and enlightened. But in reality, he was meticulously scheming on behalf of Chu Xiao. On the day the envoy entered the palace, he publicly proposed a contest. My uncle was ill, so I took his place on the field. The envoy mocked me, saying, I've heard that Great Chu has run out of men. It seems the rumors are true. Ha ha ha. You must be a daughter of the Song family. Your mother died by my spear. I pierced her through, and she died with her eyes wide open. Do you wish to follow in your mother's footsteps? Ha 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 ha. My uncle slammed the table, ready to seek revenge. Chu Xiao held him down. At that moment, the emperor looked at me and mouthed the word, kill. Killing the envoy would mean there was no choice but to go to war. The emperor's intention was clear. I am very pleased. The fall of the Great Chu in my previous life happened 10 years later. Starting the counterattack from today may not be too late. I gripped the long spear, striking with precision and speed. The envoy thought the Great Chu would not dare to kill, but when my spear pierced right through him, his eyes widened in shock, completely caught off guard. But he had no chance to regret it, and could only meet his end here. With the head envoy dead, not a single member of the envoy delegation could escape. The emperor ordered, arrest them all. With the envoys executed, war between the two nations was now inevitable. My uncle was about to lead the expedition. But I snatched the commander's seal before he could. Uncle, I will return alive. Don't fight me for this. When you have time, find yourself a wife. After my father, brother, and mother died in battle, my uncle always felt that he would meet the same fate one day. he kept delaying marriage. As if he had already foreseen his predetermined end. I have made up my mind, and my uncle cannot win against me. After all, he truly cannot defeat me in a fight. On the day of departure, everyone came to see me off. In the crowd, I spotted Xiao Yu. Chu Xiao also saw him. Xiao Yu was already emaciated. Chu Xiao was being annoyingly cheeky. The two of us rode side by side, and he leaned close to my ear, deliberately breathing out to feign intimacy. I glared at him. Chu Xiao, why are you glaring at me? The emperor has already betrothed me to you, so of course I must guard what is mine. For a fleeting moment, I saw a familiar fervor in Chu Xiao's eyes. That same fervor was something I had once unreservedly poured into Xiao Yu. I smiled faintly. Chu Xiao, if we can return alive, we shall marry immediately. Chu Xiao's handsome face flushed red as he whistled toward the sky. Autumn soon arrived, and a great battle was imminent. I was appointed commander for the first battle. To boost morale, I employed every means at my disposal. 10 days later, we finally achieved a great victory. The two sides temporarily ceased their fight. Chu Xiao led a small team to launch a night raid on the city wall. They retrieved the remains of my parents. For this, he was shot in the shoulder by an arrow, to humiliate the great Chu. The enemy country had hung the remains of my parents on a corner of the city wall, exposed to wind and sun for years, leaving them broken and incomplete. Even so, Chu Xiao retrieved them with utmost reverence. Wrapping them tightly in his cloak, in his previous life, he had done the same thing. Blood soaked through his shoulder, yet he grinned, revealing a row of white teeth, bright and radiant. Nanji, I've brought your father and mother back. I wiped away my tears and smiled. Thank you, Chu Xiao, thank you. In this life and the last, I placed my parents' remains in the coffins. Once we achieve complete victory, I will bring them back to their homeland. I personally treated Chu Xiao's wounds. And he fell into my arms in pain. Nanji, it hurts. Think of a way to ease my pain. Since when is this guy afraid of pain? He's quite good at pretending. I didn't expose him, but lowered my head and kissed his lips. He was so innocent, so easy to tease. Before long, he was holding my waist, his gaze burning with intensity. Someone so pure and untainted had been broken in his past life. My hand slowly reached out. Chu Xiao pretended to be calm, but one hand tightly gripped my collar. You. Song Nanji, don't play with fire, I chuckled lightly. So what if I am playing with fire? Chu Xiao, I'm asking you, do you dare? He abruptly stood up, showing no sign of having been injured at all. I'm going to take a bath. With that, he got up and walked out of the tent. The so-called bath was nothing more than a quick wash in the river. I lay down first, trying to ease the fatigue all over my body, but my heart was racing and I couldn't fall asleep. Chu Xiao returned soon. He carried a slight chill of the autumn night and lay down beside me, embracing me from behind. Outside were patrolling soldiers, shadows were cast on the tent. Chu Xiao whispered close to her ear, do you think they might hear the noise? His hands began to wander. I turned around and covered his mouth. Chu Xiao, let's have a child. Afraid there might not be another chance, afraid time is running out, afraid that either he or I might not make it back to the capital. Early the next morning, Chu Xiao carried a large basin of laundry to the river to wash. No one in the army found it strange. By the time he returned to the tent, I was already up. The man deliberately said, it was my lack of restraint that made General Song suffer last night. These things, I can't really control them. After all, gifted by nature, you could say. I gave him a reproachful look. It was strange, I couldn't bring myself to be angry with him. Whenever I thought of how he had died for his country in his previous life, alone until the very end, I always wanted to make it up to him as much as possible. Though we both seemed to hold noble status, in our past lives, we were like two pitiful souls. He wanted to boast, so I played along. Indeed, the Chu heir is truly remarkable. Even I, who dominates the battlefield, am no match for you in bed. Chu Xiao was taken aback for a moment before he caught my meaning. In 2 quick strides, he closed the distance between us and lowered his voice threateningly. Nanji, don't provoke me, or I won't let you keep your strength. The tides of war are ever changing. Who knows what might happen in the next moment? I stopped teasing him. His expression turned serious. Chu Xiao, you and I must return alive. Chu Xiao grasped my hand. Yes, the great battle lasted until the harsh winter. The court continuously transported supplies, and with the soldiers well fed and warmly clothed. Their morale was naturally high. After the previous incident of capturing spies, officials whose households had harbored spies all donated silver without daring to be the least bit stingy. The Duke of Xiao's residents donated half of their family estate. Before the end of the year, I led the Song family army into the barbarian palace, completely conquering the barbarians and rejecting all peace negotiations. No matter how much the jackal repents, one day it will still turn and attack. Eliminating the root of the problem is the best strategy. The grudge of my previous life's kingdom being destroyed must be avenged. The triumphant return of the army was met with citywide celebration. The emperor issued a decree, betrothing me to Chu Xiao. He abdicated the throne to Chu Xiao, and I am the empress. He also decreed that the new emperor could never take concubines. If this was violated, the throne would be passed to Empress Song's child, regardless of gender. The imperial edict was proclaimed to the world, cutting off all possibility for Chu Xiao to take concubines. I understood the emperor's profound intentions. First, Chu Xiao could rightfully ascend to the throne. Second, it also granted me authority. On the day of the new emperor's grand wedding with me, we ascended the high platform hand in hand. I saw my brother-in-law weeping uncontrollably below. The officials of the censorate are truly such sincere and emotional people. Chu Xiao held my hand. Gazing at me, Nanji, the future of Great Chu rests on us. Are you ready? I nodded. Yes. On the day all the spies were to be beheaded, and Yu Yaro requested to see me, and Yu Yaro had already become gaunt and haggard. I told her that her country had already fallen, destroyed by my own hands. And Yu Yaro covered her face with both hands and wept bitterly. Suddenly losing control, she roared hoarsely, "You destroyed my kingdom, and I took the one you love. You haven't necessarily won." I chuckled lightly. The one I love is His Majesty the Emperor. Chu Xiao walked over and rested his noble head on my shoulder. When my wife calls for me, how could I not come? And Yu Yaro was both crying and laughing, her faith completely shattered. When the spy was being executed, Xiao Yu appeared. His body had already begun to fester, no longer resembling the elegant and noble figure he once was. He threw a rotten egg at Yu Yaro. "You wretch, you've ruined my life," and Yu Yaro sneered coldly. "Who told you to be the eldest son of the Duke of Xiao's household? If it wasn't me approaching you, it would have been someone else. As long as you lacked even a little bit of resolve, you were bound to be bewitched. You were destined to lose the one you love." When Eniweo's head rolled down, Xiao Yu lifted his foot to kick it. He seemed to be venting his anger. However, Eniweo was not wrong. The enemy country would surely send someone to approach Xiao Yu. If not her, it would be someone else. A man as fickle as Xiao Yu would inevitably betray me. When Xiao Yu came to see me, his face was veiled in black gauze, and his eyes, sunken from emaciation, were deeply recessed, knowing that I had many official duties. He got straight to the point. "I've remembered everything." Choking up, he said, "I have wronged you. I was blind, and my sins are as vast as the heavens. I deserve to die. I cannot blame anyone else. However, I want you to know that Xiao Yu before the age of 19 truly adored Song Nanji. The Xiao Yu after that is unworthy of Song Nanji." He knelt down and kowtowed, performing a grand salute. As he left, his body swayed slightly, and he walked with a limp. Chu Xiao leaned close to my ear and whispered, "I'm different. I remain faithful from beginning to end. I trust him. Those with faith will also be unwavering in matters of the heart. He is truly an excellent person." Chu Xiao grabbed my hand and guided it toward a place it shouldn't go, saying, "My wife, bearing children is a matter of national importance. We must not be negligent." That makes sense. The end.